We finally have a release date for Lone Echo 2. It will be coming out on the Oculus Rift platform on August 24th for $40, and I'll probably be picking it up on day one. But with the release of this hugely anticipated title, it poses the thought that could this potentially be the last big game release funded by Oculus for the PC platform.
Immersed Robot.
Hello everyone, welcome to Immersed Robot. So, Lone Echo 1 was a fantastic game that was released in 2017, and for those who haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend picking it up now, as it has been recently discounted to just $10 or £8. It's also completely playable through Revive for non-Oculus headsets, and I played part of my original run back in 2017 on my HTC Vive, but I've also tried it on my Valve Index and the Quest 2 via Airlink as well. And all of these platforms give a great way to play the experience. There is a little bit of finickiness with some of the index controls, but it's certainly playable and it's fine really. But with Facebook now focusing efforts on mobile and standalone VR rather than PC-based VR, it does seem like this could be the last big PCVR title funded by Oculus. And it's a shame, but really the writing has been on the wall for a long time. People even suspected that the lengthy production process of Lone Echo 2 could potentially point to the fact that Ready at Dawn, the developer of the franchise, were attempting some sort of Quest port of the game during that time, and that either proved impossible or it was never even attempted in the first place. But I'm sure the fact that this game is a PC only title, it does hurt Facebook in some ways, who, you know, they have been steadily moving over to the standalone model for a while now, and I'm sure they would have loved to have got this title running on the Quest or Quest 2, but it's not really surprising in many ways. So with that, and with Facebook's focus on standalone VR now plain to see, what does this mean for PC VR going forward? And there's little doubt that no longer having Facebook's aggressive push on the platform means fewer big VR titles. And so where do our hopes lie now? Now, I know that Valve released Half-Life Alyx in 2020, but we probably can't rely on just Valve, a single developer, to provide us with all of the deep single-player content that we really crave for the PC platform. And so it's been the case since the very beginning really that the PCVR ecosystem has relied on smaller indie developers who don't really have the means or the resources to give us a constant stream of high-end, deep, single-player narrative experiences which last for multiple hours. Generally they will stick to smaller arcade-focused content or multiplayer-focused content, and that's okay. You have to take that into account and understand where these developers are coming from. And we do still have sort of the VR mainstays to fall back on, things like I cover on this channel, Elite Dangerous, Horizons of course, probably not Odyssey, but we don't need to get into that here, No Man's Sky, Microsoft Flight Simulator. These are all titles that allow for continuing gameplay and progression for over periods of months and years really, so we do still have these to fall back on for those that enjoy that type of game, but it does still leave a gap in terms of single player narrative driven long form experiences. And I suppose really, unless more AAA developers begin to see the long-term viability of the PC market, then we could see perhaps some level of stagnation in PC VR over the next couple of years. And I don't want to be too pessimistic about that, and I hope I'm wrong, and I probably am wrong. I'm generally not right about many of my opinions really, so I'm hoping that that's the case here, because I think that if we could get more of these types of games, these big titles in VR, it would be a real boost. And perhaps it's not all bad news. We do occasionally see bigger titles released by third parties on a wider range of platforms. Just recently we saw Sniper Elite VR released on PSVR, Oculus Quest and on PC VR, and while it might not be the AAA title we continually hope for, it's certainly a bigger release by a developer expanding their efforts over numerous platforms to generate a viable return on investment. But the worries with this kind of strategy tend to revolve around the scope of such games being a little bit toned down in order to fit on the less capable platforms in the PC, things like the Oculus Quest or the PSVR in this case. But if this is the best option, then perhaps there is still some some level of hope in this outcome as well. And there's also the interesting fact that now the Oculus Quest does account for the largest share of PCVR headsets on Steam VR, and Facebook might then look at this and still see some continuing value in perhaps funding some PCVR titles in order to still focus on their headsets. Really, it adds value to their headsets, so they aren't just standalone headsets, but they can be coupled to a PC and run these higher end games. And the fact that so many Quests are being used in this manner, both through Link and wirelessly through AirLink, and also virtual desktop of course, then perhaps this could point to Facebook taking note and perhaps spending a few more resources and financing some developers in order to continue this aspect of their business. It might not be their focus, but there is still some level of hope that they will allow for that. But either way, I do think that with the discontinuation of the Rift headsets and the release of Oculus's final big PC only VR title, there's definitely a transition period on the PC platform at the moment. And this has been mentioned by numerous people, numerous websites on the internet do talk about this possible level of PC VR stagnation. Again, I don't want to focus on the negatives, but I'm afraid this is probably a little bit of a negative video overall. And we can still hope for more VR games by Valve over the coming years, and perhaps some increasing interest from the flat AAA developers in the PC VR platform too. Or failing that, we can simply rely on developers like Rebellion to bring their titles to PC VR among many other platforms in order to make the return on investment more appealing and sustainable. And that's a realistic way of looking at this too, so I'm hoping for more titles like that in order to bridge this gap until perhaps PC VR gains a little bit more momentum over the coming years and attracts more interest from AAA developers. And in no small part, I think that will be through more Quests being attached to PCs and generating this interest from AAA developers, who could then potentially see it as a more sustainable and viable business. So once again, apologies for being slightly negative in this video, but it's difficult to ignore the current landscape of PC VR, and I hope I'm wrong, as I mentioned before, and I'm sure this is a topic that many people have opinions on, so please do leave a comment below, let me know what you think. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I guess there's no original ways left to say this, but please do like this video if you get a moment, and also subscribe to the channel as it does help me out. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Please consider picking up my science fiction virtual reality focused novel, The Memory Engine, a light-hearted tongue-in-cheek adventure through the metaverse, available on Amazon Kindle, paperback and as an Audible audiobook. Links in the description to this video.